Former flat earthers. What made you come round? By Ask Reddit.
Kyrie Irving hasn't been doing press conferences.
Man's just disappeared from the court like he fell off the disc.
He be wishing the earth was round now.
Nah man. He wants to hide in the corners. If the earth is round he'll eventually be found.
Kyrie Irving out of the loop had to Google that POO for others similarly unaware. https://www.espn.com/nba/story/ID/1871075/Kyrie Irving Cleveland Cavaliers believes Earth flat.
This is surprising. Ball is round, why can't Earth be round?
He's just busy searching for the edge of Earth.
The Mobius strip earthers had more compelling arguments.
No, there would be no need for arguments since we're all on the same side.
I was going to argue with you, but while I composed my reply, I came around.
Read this comment and kept scrolling, and then spent a whole 5 seconds to come back and upvote it when it finally sunk in.
Deleted.
Mobius, an endless line of jokes.
Deleted.
What an unexpected twist.
Tell me more.
When I was younger I would eat my wooden bed. Not sure why, I'd just get to bed and start chewing on the wood like a hamster or something. I'd get loads of splinters. But it was great.
Tell me less.
Eat bed.
A little more.
Eat bed get splinters.
5 more words, 2 that are in Spanish. 1 is a proper noun.
Dos tres hamster eat bed.
Uno dos tres. Hamster hamster eat bed.
FIBER.
GNAWLEDGE.
Quote I got from somewhere. For 5 years I believed the earth was flat, then I turned 6.
Eli 5.
You'll understand when you're older.
Just realized that response applies to almost all Eli 5s.
I convinced a flat earther, temporarily, by asking him if it was possible for a sphere to be so large that you could not tell it was a sphere by simply being on the surface of it. It took him a while. I used an analogy of an extremely long line that was so slightly curved you could not tell so by looking at a small section of it. Eventually he said yes to the sphere, and I told him that was how big the Earth is. A few days later he reverted. Most of these people aren't mentally stable, they believe in a lot of conspiracies. None.
What I like to do is use telescopes. This telescope is strong enough to see distant stars and galaxies, yes? Okay, look out this direction across the ocean. Can you see Europe? Edit, r.i.p my inbox lol.
Stars are not as far as NASA tell us. They are much closer than Europe, on the edge of the dome. Actually no matter what you say, they'll find a nonsense explanation, until finally get to because God made it this way. Which is the main reason why they believe in flat earth anyways.
This. I have an in-law, not immediate thank God, that thinks someone hangs the moon up.
Deleted.
Most of these people aren't mentally stable, they believe in a lot of conspiracies. A lot of them have made it such a large part of their personality that it's not as easy as just changing their opinion. They have to basically reconstruct themselves, which they won't do.
They would lose all their flat earth friends.
The friends aspect is a bigger part of it than I thought. None.
There's a Discord server called the Flat Earth Society where they advertise it as a fun place to come and debate. Newsflash, it's not fun. If you're anything but a flat earther and you try to make a point, you're instantly swarmed by all of them. They won't give you a chance to speak, and oftentimes refuse to answer questions and instead just hurl insults at you. The worst part, the admins actively mute anybody who proves them wrong. They will actually kick you from the call and then tell everybody else you left, so it looks like they owned you. It's absolute cancer, they're in absolute denial.
Look, it's really easy. If the earth is flat, there would be an edge, S. And there would be a effing Disney park at the edge, and we could bungee jump off the side and paraglide into the void etc etc. Someone would be making an absolute poo ton of money off of it, if it existed. Guess what? Nobody is doing that. ADN in this world where absolutely everything is exploited for profit, if no one is making money off of it, it does not exist. No edge. Not flat. Get a clue?
Let's not forget it'd be the cleanest and success guaranteed suicide. I mean, depending what's down there. Unless it's an endless void and all you do is keep falling until you starve. You know what, never mind.
And if that was the case, it would be the best way to dispose of toxic waste and garbage. Just yeet it into the effing void.
Or yeah, no, dead bodies and murder evidence.
Great, well now we know why they are hiding it from everyone. Nobody gives away a good body dumping site.
Until the extra-dimensional terrors show up to find out who has been raining poo on them. You know, just your average hyperdimensional octopus made entirely of sentient teeth minding his own business feeding on the negative emotions of the cosmos. Suddenly the contents of a Taco Bell dumpster end their century-long fall right on his mantle.
And nuclear waste, I'm starting to wish the Earth was flat.
If no one is making money off of it, it does not exist. I am definitely gonna steal that one. No more stupid debates, this is the answer.
I am definitely gonna steal that one. No more stupid debates, this is the answer. Doesn't work. Some flat earthers hold that the Antarctic is a barrier to possibly more land, which allows increased resources available to the elite few whom control the Penguinati, the military force encircling the entire circumference of the spherical disk world to prevent anyone reaching the true Antarctic land mass, simultaneously utilizing radar to scan the entire Earth's circumference to prevent trespassers. When you go to Antarctica, the Penguinati tourist and elite conspiracy agents take you to somewhere else in the world that looks like what you expect Antarctica to be, with special towers that relay the GPS coordinates of your location to trick you into believing the world is a globe. Actual argument I have heard from Flat Earth on multiple occasions, minus the Penguinati trademark, none.
LOL, I was hoping that Penguinati was a term they actually used. That is a really good one.
Hell, people make money off plenty of things that don't exist too. Edit, if you're going to reply please come up with something less obvious than the church.
Like the flat earth.
And it comes full circle. Or globe.
That's actually, I think, a really effective approach. Conspiracy theorists are usually very cynical about the world and feel like something is wrong with it. Your approach acknowledges this core conviction and invites the person to consider how their specific conspiracy would actually play out given what they believe about the world. Bravo.
This is legit a solid argument.
I watched a documentary about flat earthers called Truth Behind the Curve, and my analysis from watching that these flat earthers are a group of people who found a community to be a part of. It's a shame their community is based on a lie, but I saw a bunch of people who were to be part of a community. Most of the people were social awkward and whatnot, and so an opportunity to be an influential figure within the community, so they double down on their flawed logic. The more against you are of them, the harder they rep their flatness. TLDR, I see flat earthers as a group of lonely people looking for a community that will accept them. Edit, WTF, did not expect this comment to blow up. Thanks for the silver, and the dialogue everyone.
They actually did an experiment, and that if they got one result, the Earth was flat, if they got the other, it was round. None.
They also spent $20,000 on a very precise gyroscope. Of course it showed a 15-degree-per-hour drift, thus proving the spherical Earth. They didn't accept this result and blamed it on picking up the rotation of the heavens. So they did another experiment with the gyroscope in a zero-Gauss chamber so that the sky wouldn't affect it. Same result. And they still claimed something else must have been wrong. There is nothing that will convince these people. At least these deeper entrenched bigger name people are too far in, and can't ever leave their group that they are so tied to. I also believe a lot of the higher up people absolutely do not believe the Earth is flat and are just grifting people for the money.
Fame and admiration are one hell of a deal.
I wonder if the bigger names believe or they just want to be important. I watched the doc and it seemed like there were some big sad egos.
They want to continue feeling special. To them it's like being in an exclusive club. They know the real truth about the world. I think it's a combination of that and the camaraderie. They have a place where they feel like they belong.
I saw that documentary too. The experiment was if the Earth is round, this compass will move 3 degrees. It did, so then they made a new compass and got the same result. Another one was they said if the Earth is round, this light won't hit that piece of wood. It doesn't, so they get a new piece of wood and get the same result.
It was the light on wood one that I remember.
If that's the Netflix one, I think it's actually really good. Instead of just being like, look at these dumbies. It really does take the time to build these otherwise harebrained outsiders into empathetic characters, who just seem lost in a maze of their own making. You want them to be free. You want them to live a normal, healthy life. But, I just can't imagine the strength it takes to mentally deprogram from that disorganized cult.
I was debating a flat earther in Mexico, and I asked him about how GPS worked if there were no satellites. He said that they had devices in the ground to route you. I told him the Mexican government is barely able to put decent water pipes in the ground. Would he really think they had the tech to put routing devices in the ground? He chuckled with a 1,000-mile gaze.
I mean, with all the money go to routing devices in the ground, no wonder there is no money left.
POO, he's got a point.
LOL, thankfully they can't put together any sort of real debate to save their lives. This is a funny sort of trump card that doesn't really make sense, but in the moment I'd maybe be taken aback and have to concede I don't believe it, but if that's what they believe I can't honestly dispute it. This is why arguing in good faith sucks, haha.
Same with anti-vaxxers. When logic gets in their way, they just call me a sheep and run away.
Uh-oh.
This made me chuckle, lol. If they're in the ground, let's go dig one up then.
And then they go and dig up someone's septic tank.
See, I told you this conspiracy was full of POO.
Mexican guy, he cries.
In Spanish.
Cries.
Deleted. Persona Mexicana, Jailera.
If the Earth was round, he wouldn't be able to gaze 1,000 miles. Checkmate, round Earthers.
Mexican here, can confirm.
A serious answer here. The thing that made me stop was just the question, why would NASA lie to you? I will try replying to all of you, but we'll go to a study hall, so I'll reply later.
This a solid point. There's no way 70,000 scientists could keep it a secret. Edit. Since this is getting tons of replies and a lot are addressing the Manhattan Project, I'll address it here. Yes, they did a great job at keeping it a secret while it was happening, but it inevitably came out. My point is addressing that this secret would be impossible to continue to stay secret, especially during the current information age. Second edit. Thank you for the awards.
That's the biggest reason for me to not believe so many conspiracy theories, especially major ones like a flat Earth. We know how often things leak about everything, and suddenly a collection of tens of thousands of people are all gonna keep this one big secret?
Flat Earth is absolutely poo tier. It not only fails on the level you described, but also, why? Why pretend the shape of the Earth is different than it is? When does someone convene a high-level meeting to circulate that idea?
Why pretend the shape of the Earth is different than it is? Because the people that believe it get quickly funneled into dark propaganda.
I never thought of this. It really is like a litmus test for gullible folks. If I was starting a cult, I'd start recruitment with flat earthers.
Flat eartherism is the king granddaddy of all conspiracy theories. Just think about it, in order to really believe that the Earth is actually flat, you have to also be willing to go along with nearly every other major conspiracy out there. Shadow governments, the Illuminati, lies from big tech, NASA, all scientists everywhere, and on and on. Flat earthers will believe basically anything.
Yeah, it's pretty much a sign that your mind is free real estate. You don't even need to be broken down, you've broken off from consensus reality. Pretty sad, honestly.
You're describing my brother perfectly. We exclusively connect over video games now.
They don't, and here's a YouTube video full of memes to prove it.
That is why I laugh at the 9/11 inside job people. The amount of people that would have to keep that a secret is astounding. From government agencies to people in the military, there are so many, there is no way everyone would keep their mouth shut.
Most conspiracies fall flat because they would require too many people to keep quiet.
Not only that, but it involves the high-ranking people involved to set aside their arrogance, pride, and work together. So let me get this straight, you're telling me that the reason why people would do this is because they are so insanely arrogant and have so little care for other human beings on this planet that they would swallow their ego and pride to do this?
This is one of my favorite ways to debunk conspiracies. If the moon landings were fake, you'd know the Soviets would have been all over that poo. But no, the Soviets congratulated us. And for some reason all of the moon landing was fake. Seem to be here in the US.
New conspiracy. Moon landing conspiracy theorists started off as a Soviet psyops to devalue the American achievement while the Soviets could get credit for being good losers. We'll let you pretend to be the first man in space if we get to pretend to be the first on the moon.
None as awesome as fish aliens would be. There's just no way that many people can keep it a secret. On top of that, I'm pretty sure that Trump would not have been able to keep his mouth shut. The attention he would get from announcing another sentient, conscious form of life on Earth would be too enticing for him to keep it a secret.
There is no way that Trump could keep aliens quiet, LMAO.
This is exactly right. I hang my hat on this fact, and it's why I'm beyond skeptical of 99% of the BS conspiracies out there.
I had an argument at work with someone over the whole votes this election. I was like, dude, the lawyer that represented you guys could not prove his case, and he's like, oh, cause they don't want to investigate it, and I'm like, is your effing guy? He's on your side. Why would he not investigate it when he's going around asking for trial by combat like he's in Game of Thrones and poo? The amount of hoops this people just to reach their logic is effing mental.
Yep, people will believe what they want despite the evidence. I love the people who were like, it wasn't a plane, it sounded like a missile. Really, when was the last time you heard a missile? I have heard them in my time in the military, and literally everyone in the area is going to know if a missile cruises by them.
And what is a plane, but a missile that people ride in?
And who doesn't enjoy 10 GS for the 30 minutes between here and their destination of choice?
10 GS, that's double the COVID.
I just go beyond them. The towers were never there to begin with.
That sorta depends on the conspiracy. The government did is and hid the evidence. Yeah, that's unlikely. However, a few key people at the top knew it was going to happen, and let it happen is much easier to believe. Also, classified things exist.
What? Are you kidding? That could never happen in the US. Nobody would ever find out about an attack being planned and just ignore it. /S.
There is an old saying from Benjamin Franklin, 3 men can keep a secret, if 2 of them are dead. Every conspiracy I've ever heard falls apart there. The minute you tell me there has to be a coordinated effort by hundreds, if not thousands, of people and not a single one says anything or leaks anything or even accidentally lets a secret slip is the moment I know a conspiracy is bullpoo. The odds of that many people keeping a secret is quite literally 0.
I mean, fair enough, right? Like they don't have anything to gain or lose no matter if the earth is flat, not saying it is, or round, LMFAO.
I asked this question to many flat earthers, and if it isn't some overly vague pretentious deep state /1984 is now kind of response, it's something overly religious.
Unless they're part of the deep state.
Deleted.
Badger is flat.
The prophets lied to us.
My skin crawled. Thanks for that.
Don't thank me. Thank Louise Fletcher, who played a character so reprehensible that most people don't realize that she was only in 9 episodes out of 150 in the first 6 seasons. Even with the final season, she was only in 15 of 176 across the entire series.
Ha! You believe in Beja? It's all a series of holograms the Cardassians put up to fool the Federation. It doesn't exist.
Are you saying it's a fake?
Not to mention the numerous space programs from countries that actively dislike each other but only cooperate on this singular issue.
Which is also similar to the conspiracies about COVID. You know, all those different countries, governments, political parties, guerrilla groups, ideologies hating each other and fighting each other? They miraculously came together in harmony to fabricate a non-existing pandemic. It's the age of Aquarium.
Can I just ask, since you are a former flat earther, how would the Earth being flat actually work?
If there was an agreeable theory, it would be more widely accepted belief. Most flat earthers have a wide range of theories for why and how it would be flat.
I've just always wondered what they think is on the underside of the Earth. And if they think if they dig far enough, they'll fall through into space.
It's turtles all the way down.
That's the exact question I asked the few flat earthers I've met, but the most dug in of them have an answer. It proves God if the Earth is flat, so of course they won't let us know.
Wouldn't it only prove that God is a sucky engineer if it was flat?
Not very good at designing spines either. Human Spine 2.0 when?
I think it's pretty easy for the majority of people alive today to distrust the motives and actions of government organizations. Unfortunately, this distrust manifests in many seemingly bizarre ways, like believing the Earth is flat.
It's always so baffling to me. Because, yeah, the government is doing shady, F it up, evil poo, but people keep coming up with reasons to say that it's lizard people, or aliens, or Sasquatch pedophile rings. And I wanna say, like no, guys. They are just greedy racist assholes. They did X cause they wanted money from ExxonMobil, and cause they personally benefit from having a militarized police force. There's such a weird division between people who are actually critical of the government and conspiracy wackos that really doesn't need to exist.
I suppose one sort of plausible reason would be the easy allocation of funds to something more secretly sinister. Like, NASA gets X billions a year, spends 1/5 of it on faking things, and the rest is spent on something the government wants kept private. Of course, that ignores the fact that there are probably dozens of easier ways to do that. It also ignores the fact that literally anyone can prove the Earth is round in a multitude of ways.
Except NASA's funding is laughably tiny compared to openly funded defense projects. The funds that get allocated to NASA projects wouldn't go very far at all.
The inclined seat conformed perfectly to his body, strategically placed in the cockpit so he could reach no buttons with outstretched arms. The straps anchored him firmly in place. They were uncomfortable but necessary. The engine burst to life with a roar that burned out all the other audio. The vibrations tore through his body and he felt his body sink back into the seat as the G-force began to take hold. The captain was watching the readouts on the LED displays and monitoring their trajectory as the acceleration began to peel his thoughts away. There was no more room in his brain, it had been filled by pure fear. The boosters grew with greater ferocity as they lifted higher into the sky, the sun beaming down on the left side of the shuttle. But faster they went. Through max Q and higher into the stratosphere until the engines grew quieter, the air more silent, and the vibrations became less violent. They were approaching space, the final frontier. An hour later, and with the path of the shuttle a success, he noticed as his raw emotions withdrew that his body felt funny. Head hair drifted aimlessly across his eyes as the captain's pen hovered in midair, and he knew the impossible was true. His childhood dream, he was in space. Weightless. The captain turned around to him, and motioned him to unhook his seat belts. He did as he was commanded. They both left their chairs and glided over to the tiny glass windows to overlook the magnificence of Earth. "What do you think now?" said the captain. He recoiled in horror. It couldn't be. NASA had replaced the windows with high-definition screens in order to perpetrate their lies that the world was spherical. Those bastards.
On Behind the Curve on Netflix, two of the flat earthers accused the moon of being a giant TV screen controlled by NASA. You aren't too far off.
It could be. Once I think I saw a Windows alert screen pop up on the moon and a cursor quickly clicked on the OK button. Fools, they should only apply updates on a new moon.
Imagine thinking they get to choose when to do Windows updates.
Man, I wish we actually lived in a universe where NASA's budget was that big. This reminds me of Kurt Vonnegut writing, "Great job, eh?"
Barely related, but I just wanted to share that I recently found out that Kurt Vonnegut effing hated Geraldo Rivera, who was briefly his son-in-law. He said he's obviously a scumbag, because he started making love to other people and betraying my daughter and her innocence from the very beginning. If I see Jerry again, I'll spit in his face. I really like Kurt Vonnegut.
Bravo, clap clap, bravo.
Had to travel to Japan, gave up on my beliefs in order to make a shorter trip.
I said the same thing on another post. However, someone more familiar with the conspiracy said they believe the Earth is actually a circle, with a North Pole in the middle, with a South Pole, or Antarctica encircling us. For me, it just brought up more questions.
They think the Earth is a big pizza with a crust made of icy mountains. The North Pole is the center where all the slices meet. The pizza is on a rotating plate with a small heat lamp that can only cover about half the pizza. Sorry, I'm kind of hungry.
R/tasty explanations.
That explanation has always baffled me. Like, they do know night and day are a thing, right? And that the sun isn't just emitting light in a very small fixed direction, but rather in all directions?
According to the flat Earth theory, the sun is more like a flashlight than a light bulb.
It's also 3,000 miles up, making sunsets mathematically impossible.
I've always thought some of the models flat earthers come up with are actually kind of clever, not from a grown-ass adult, but if a kid explained it to me I would be like, hey, that kind of almost works, not bad. But sunsets are always where they break down and just start saying optical illusion over and over again until it's just gibberish.
They also can't have both solar eclipses and lunar eclipses.
Bear with me for a second. I'll play devil's advocate. What if you take the flat disk and then warp it a little, downwards, so that it's more of a mound kind of shape? Actually, let's go all the way and bend the edges until they wrap back around and touch at the bottom. Then wham! Solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, time zones. It all works. Checkmate, NASA.
I see, so the Earth is a flat sphere. I like it.
Please elaborate.
It's a quicker journey depending which direction you travel from.
Please elaborate.
You can either fly nearly 11,000 miles over the Atlantic, Europe and Asia. Or you can fly 6,000 miles over the Pacific.
One direction quick, one direction slow.
If the world is flat, a straight line is the shortest distance. On a sphere, shortest distance over the surface is along the arc of a great circle.
What did you think people were buying plane tickets to fall off the Earth? Or you just assumed people were getting cheap tickets to be tricked by faster planes?
There's too much scientifically proven and quantitative/qualitative data to prove or to at least justify this. The only justification the conspiracy theorist has is their senses, and some posts and videos they've seen online. At least that's my paradigm of them.
None. I think there were a few factors that helped me escape that, losing my father. It was such a life-changing event at that age that it made me reconsider everything in my life. None. So all in all, I think the time away gave me time to detox. If I had been on social media as I discovered those things, I can only imagine I very well may have become a Q believer as well. Looking back, I see how gullible I was in that moment, fooled by the onslaught of half-truths and clever logic of the various theories. I know better now, and I should have known better then, but I've been humbled to the fact that everyone is vulnerable to this sort of stuff. To think otherwise is deluding yourself.
Congrats. I spent a brief period as a 911 truther, which is bizarre considering I saw it happening live on TV. I watched 1 or 2 conspiracy videos online when they were newish. They asked questions that couldn't be answered, raised doubts, highlighted coincidences, etc. Basically I became convinced a missile hit the Pentagon, and that was my belief. I wasn't obsessive over it, just a background belief. Then I came across a discussion online, a debate about 9/11, and one poster was pointing out there was wreckage of the plane all over the Pentagon grounds, and I was like nope, relating to something in one of the videos. However, within seconds of looking online I found the photos of the wreckage, and just about everything else. To cut a long story short, the online documentaries, 911 conspiracy videos, I had previously watched were in fact very carefully crafted pieces of propaganda designed to make the viewer cast doubt on the event by highlighting very specific and selective pieces of information, out of context, distorted or just flat out untrue in order to hint that some vague conspiracy took place without ever specifying that conspiracy. Now I'm very much a skeptic. The dead giveaway to these type of conspiracy videos is that they never actually detail the conspiracy itself, from the ground up. They never provide a coherent timeline, never provide direct evidence of the conspiracy itself. It's all indirect. Look at this discrepancy, look at this coincidence, look at this oddity, can't explain that, therefore conspiracy. Same with Boston bombing conspiracies, Sandy Hook, all that. Identical process involved each time. I actually, masochistically, spend some time debunking conspiracies online every now and then. It's largely a futile exercise, but the most simple approach is just to ask someone to detail the conspiracy with credible evidence. They almost all instantly fall apart. To this day no one has ever provided a coherent 9/11 theory, not even the guys at A911 who make money from this stuff. It's a bizarre hobby to say the least.
The dead giveaway to these type of conspiracy videos is that they never actually detail the conspiracy itself, from the ground up. They never provide a coherent timeline, never provide direct evidence of the conspiracy itself. It's all indirect. Look at this discrepancy, look at this coincidence, look at this oddity, can't explain that, therefore conspiracy 110%. Some modern conspiracies have gotten smarter and provide really putty proof that has 10 levels of sourcing that end up back at some 8chan/Paul thread that isn't even accessible but just a screenshot. None. What frustrates/terrifies me is watching other people fall into this now. I know what worked for me, but by and large outside intervention isn't what pulled me out of the abyss. I'm never sure of what to do other than follow up their questions with more questions to try to get them see the errors themselves.
This is a really solid base for anyone diving into the various conspiracy rabbit holes. Good writing. And sorry about your pops.
If someone starts as a round earther and then converts to being a flat earther and then goes back to being a round earther, would you say they've come full circle?
Once they've realized their mistake, I'd say they're really on the ball.
Though I imagine flat earthers would say they're the level-headed ones.
Deleted.